Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. We are going to talk about mySewnet and your Mac. So this is a really basic beginning. We're just going to open the software. We're going to look at configure and some of the other things. So very basic. There will be other videos that progress on each one of the elements of it. But for today, it's just kind of getting to know where everything is. So we're going to go ahead and open our software, and we do that by accessing our Launchpad, or if you've already opened it, it'll be down here, but since we're going to do it from the beginning, we'll do it this way. And here we go. So once you open Launchpad, you can locate all of the aspects of mySewnet software. With that being said, you can access some of these other ways as well. This is not the only way to access them, but it is one of the main ways. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at all these. So mySewnet Quick Font, that's where you can create your own font using any installed font on your Mac, which is super cool. I love that element and I use it quite often. mySewnet Connect, that links both your machine and your computer together so that they can communicate using Wi-Fi. mySewnet Draw and Paint, this lets you create PNG, JPEG images, a graphic image to use in your software, which is new to mySewnet. This is the first time it's been available. mySewnet Configure, that's where we're going to start. This is where you go to set any kind of internal settings to your software. mySewnet Thread Cache, you can access that here or in Configure, and that's where you can put in all of your threads that you have so that you can know what you have. It's kind of a cool little program. mySewnet Stitch Editor, this is where you can go to edit already created embroidery designs. mySewnet Digitizing lets you digitize a design from scratch. mySewnet Embroidery is your main module, and this is the one we're going to start on today. And mySewnet Cross Stitcher, that is so much fun, and we will definitely do a little project on that later on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is click on mySewnet Configure. That's going to go ahead and open up. So when you open up mySewnet Configure, if this is your first time, you will go ahead and sign in with your mySewnet account and password. Once you're signed in, it will show you signed in. It will all be grayed out except for sign out. So if you wanted to sign out, you could. You can register if you don't have a Sewnet account. So if you came here before you registered, you can go ahead and click on that and register. Reset your password if you've forgotten it, or manage your subscription. Those are all things that we would do on the internet website, mySewnet.com. My computer, you can name your computer. Mine says Stephanie's MacBook Air, and it should say activated. If it says not activated, or I think deactivated, or whatever it says, you can go ahead and click on activate, and that will activate your subscription. You have 2 active subscriptions at any given time. So I have 3 computers that I use this software on, and so I do have to activate and deactivate at will so that I can switch between the different software programs. All right, and if you don't want to send anonymous data, you can just uncheck that box. Utilities, this is where, again, you can access your thread cache through here. You can access Quick Font through here, which is one of 3 places you can actually access Quick Font. Start mySewnet Connect. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to have my mouse point at it. This is a little tiny sewing machine. When that is up, it's going to show you that your mySewnet is signed in. You can do your options, but this is going to allow everything to connect. Then there's check for updates. So if you needed to update your software, you could do that. Reset all apps. So you can make changes to your apps or to the modules, and if you've messed up and you're like, why did I choose purple background or whatever, you can just do reset all apps and it'll put them back to factory settings. Reset file association, that is for you to be able to see your embroidery designs on your computer. Computers don't come knowing what an embroidery file is or an extension like VP3, HUS, VP4. They don't, your computer will not understand those. So this software associates those files. Things can go wrong. It's kind of, you have to do certain things. If you have that issue, you can always contact software support, and I may go ahead and do a video later on about it, but that's how you get basically your computer to understand what an embroidery file is, if that makes sense. Sorry guys. Back up my settings. You can, if you've changed things or you want to save your settings, you can do that. Restore my settings is just the opposite. Once you've backed them up, if you need to restore them, like if your computer crashed or anything, or if you just want to uninstall and reinstall or something happens, you can do that, and back them up, and that will create a file, and then you can restore those settings back. Appearance. This is where you get to choose your background color that pops up in your hoop. So when you're doing designs and everything, you can do a background color. The default is this baby blue. It's easy on the eyes. I generally have mine set to white. And I do that so that when I print lessons and things, it's easier for people to see. Or it doesn't take as much ink, I should say. You can choose a background texture. There's all different kinds. There's Aida cross stitch cloth. So if you were doing a cross stitch and you wanted to see it on that cloth, you can do that. Canvas, fleece, knit, sheer, silk. I generally just leave it as woven, or you can do none and it'll just be smooth. It's totally up to you. Grid color, I also normally change that to black, as I like my grid as dark as it can go, because I do use my grid a lot, and if you do my lessons, you'll see that I use that grid to measure things and do things like that, so I do use that a lot. Real size, if you measure this and put in the correct millimeters, it'll show correctly in real size. Show measurements in millimeters or inches. I will tell you guys that this software is easier to use in millimeters, and you can always hover over it and it will show you what it is in inches. So I do use millimeters a lot, and I will not do inches. I might hover over it for you to see, but when I do my lessons, it's all in millimeters. Cut out applique background color, so you can choose what applique color you like, and I'm going to do this cyan color. And again, you can choose if you want it woven or whatever. Import, this is your thread range. So if I use a lot of Robison Anton Rayon 40, so that's what I choose. If you wanted sulky, isofill, isocord, whatever, you can choose those, and that would be your default thread. You can also change it, so don't think that that's like stuck there. Export. This is where you can set your defaults for export. One of the things is optimized for sewing. I always leave combine and remove overlap always checked. I'm always going to leave those two. However, color sort I do uncheck, because certain times you don't want something to color sort. And I like to be able to choose that if I want to at the end or not. Create your decoration. You can do it different ways. Hoop orientation, rotate to fit your natural hoop, automatically flip for felting, and export file name. You can append a phrase to file when exporting. So let me explain a little bit. So the software has two components to it. It has a save and an export. When you save something, it retains all the information so you can go back and make changes. When you export something, it does things like combining it. It removes the overlap. It optimizes the stitch lengths. It color sorts. It does those things. But if you name it the same file name, so like dog.vp3 or whatever, or vp4. So dog vp4 is what you save at it to go out back and make changes. But you want to export it, so you know, but you want to export it as a vp4 as well. But you need to tell the difference between the two. So like, instead of doing exported, a lot of times I'll do complete. like if it's something that's done, or I just will change the name slightly, or you can have this export file name, you can have this added to it. So it would be dog exported.vp4. And we will definitely go over that in more detail later. This is just kind of going over it pretty quick. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close this out because we are done with that. We're going to go back to our Launchpad and we're going to open our mySewnet embroidery module. And we're going to go ahead and click on that. And that is going to open us up. The first time you open it, for the day, it's going to pop up and it's going to ask you what you want to do. If you noticed when we were in Launchpad, a lot of these things were available in your Launchpad as well as in here. But we're going to go ahead and do blank project. Like I said, we're going to do all this stuff later, but this is just a quick one. We're going to say blank project and next. That pops up what type of hoop you want to use. So your brand, if you don't care and want to do universal, you can do that. My hoops is something if you want to save your hoops and use only the hoops you have, that would be a choice you could do as well. You can do Foff, Singer, Babylok, Bernina, all kinds of hoops. I'm going to go ahead and choose Husqvarna Viking, the Epic 2, the 120 by 120, orientation, natural or rotated. Oh, and if you want that one, you just click in your My Hoops, you just click included in My Hoops. Orientation natural or rotated, or you can just enter your hoop size. If ever you're on this screen and you want to choose one of your hoops and they are grayed out, you need to uncheck this box. I've had so many questions about that. They're like, oh, I can't choose a hoop. Well, you need to uncheck that enter hoop size. All right, once your hoop is chosen, you can say okay, and I am going to go ahead and maximize my screen. And here we are. We are all set with our options, and we're going to go across the, I guess, ribbon bar, I guess we can call it. That's what I call it for a PC, so we'll just call it that for this one. So we're going to go ahead and move across this, and we have actions. This is just your little mySewnet icon. Actions. You can insert, undo, redo, copy, zoom, background visibility, all kinds of things you can do here. Some of these are grayed out because there is not an object in the hoop or an item in the hoop. So once you put that there, these will light up. I'm going over this really quick on this part because there's so many other ways to do this. There's so many ways on a Mac to do one thing, trust me. It can get a little confusing because there's so many spots. You know, you can go to File, you can go to Edit. Anyway, there's just a lot of spots. All right, the mySewnet, this is your options. So this is your mySewnet. So it shows that I am connected. If you wanted to go to options, that's going to bring up that configure window we were just on, and manage my account is going to take you to the internet. The last time I tried it, it didn't work. The link didn't work. So I don't know. But notice the word send. So when I have a design in my hoop, which we're going to put one in there in a minute, but this would light up so that I could send it. My machine's not active right now, so it wouldn't send it anyway. Okay, zoom. So if I tell you to zoom in, you can plus or minus zoom. You can zoom to rectangle. So if you choose this and you draw a rectangle, it's going to zoom in. And then you can also choose that, and that's zoom to hoop. And that's going to put your design so that you see the whole thing on the screen. You also have a zoom slider. So if you wanted to just use your slider, you can zoom in and zoom out. Select. Once you have something in there, you have all these options, which we will use quite frequently in other lessons, and they're all different kinds of selecting. Select mode. I played with this and played with this. I am not 100% sure how this works. I've played with it. It doesn't seem to do what I think it should do, so I got to research that a little bit more. So we'll use it eventually if I can figure it out. Otherwise, we're just going to chalk it off as not usable. All right, group. When you have more designs, then you can group them together. Resize allows you to change the size of an item while also changing your density and stitches. Hoop, you can change your hoop here once again. So if you decide that 120 by 120 is not the hoop you want, you can just change it. Background, we will discuss this more in depth, but it actually gives you a little picture on here for your background. View modes, we will discuss these here in a minute once I get a design up. Preview, same thing. Panels. This, once we get some designs, is going to be called your film strip. So the panel on your left is your film strip, and the panel on your right is your design panel. Okay, so we're going to go across the top really quick. If you click on mySewnet embroidery, it will tell you about mySewnet embroidery. So I am running the newest iOS. What is it? It is Monterey. So I am running Monterey version 12.2.1. That is the newest Mac version. I just updated it. And I'm also running version 1.3 on mySewnet embroidery, which I also just updated. So everything I'm running is updated. So if you see things that I have that you don't, do check and make sure that you are on those updated versions. Okay, back to the top file. Again, here's another thing you can do: new, open, open recent, and insert. Open and insert are very important. Open will close what you currently are working on. So if I had something on the screen and I chose open, it's going to close that and open what I want to do next. Open recent, obviously, if I had a recent object, which I don't, you would do there. And insert. Oh, and guys, one of the reasons I don't have anything up there is because I did update everything on my Mac. So it's not like I don't use it. It's just I recently just updated everything, and it cleared out my cache. Insert. So the difference between open and insert, like I said, open closes what you were working on and brings up something new. Insert does the opposite. It keeps what I have open and opens up another one, or opens up that design into the one I'm currently working on. So if you want to add multiple designs in one hoop, you need to use insert versus open. Okay, closes the window. If you click your option key on your keyboard, it will actually give you more options, as in close all. So if I had multiple windows open, I could hit my options key on my keyboard, hold it down, and choose close all. Same with save. When you're saving, the first time you save, it will pop up and ask you where you want to save it and what you want to name it. After that, if you want to change it, so like say you were working on something and it was dog 1, and you've made some changes, but you want to keep dog 1, but you want to name it something else to dog 2 because you want to keep both those files. That's when you would hit options and do save as, so you could give it a new name or a new location. Rename allows you to name something, duplicate, obviously copies and paste it. Move to, you can, I don't think you can really move to anything. Revert to your last saved or last open. Export, again, that's where we get ready to stitch out the file. So we save it when we still want to work on it, and we export it when we want to sew it out. Export applique pieces and decorations. Those are both two different ways we'll go into more of that, but that's what those are. Share, I don't really see anything for that. Print, if you want to print the file, it'll show you all the colors and things like that. It gives you a grid. And then send, again, if you had your machine up and something in the hoop and everything, you could send it to the machine. Edit, again, here we go. Add, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste. You'll see these a lot of other places. Resize mode. Again, you can use it here or over there where it says resize. Again, that lets us do resize without making changes. We will do that. Box select, free select, all that, same as up here. Deselect all, select mode, replace section. That's that again. Again, I've tried it, not working very well. Previous design and next design. So if you say you had 4 different designs on the screen, which we're going to do here in a second, and you wanted to go between the designs, but they were stacked on top of each other, you could use this. However, this is outdated. I don't know why they left this in, because you have the film strip. So I'm not going to click the edit button and do this. I'm going to use the film strip. So to me, this is pointless. Sometimes I love this software, and this is one of the best softwares on a Mac for embroidery. However, some of the things on here are just like so, it's like, give me one place, don't give me five. But that's a complaint for another day. Modify, again, this doesn't actually work. I tried it. I don't understand some things on this. Okay, hoop. You can change your hoop here again. Spelling and grammar. This is nice to show spelling and grammar if you need to check. Start dictation. Nope, don't use it. Emoji and symbols, not applicable. Emojis and symbols is only going to let you do those in notes and setting, and I really see no point. View. Show tab bar, that is this that we're working on. Show all tabs gives you this. View, exit tab overview. Okay, view. All right, grid. This one's helpful. Grid lets you undo your grid and redo your grid. Oh, we didn't finish the mySewnet embroidery. We'll go back. Sorry, guys. View again, load background. Again, that's on your ribbon bar. All of that is on your ribbon bar. I'm going to use that ribbon bar versus view. I can tell you that right now. Zoom, again, on there. Life view, design player, all on your ribbon bar. Get length. This gives you a little tiny ruler that you can use to measure things. So here's your little ruler. I don't really know how accurate it is. And if you don't click in the right spot the first time, then you're upset, or you're got to redo it. But that's what that does. Display all. If there were hidden objects, you could display all. Hide control panel, hide film strip. Both of those are over there as well. Hide toolbar, customize toolbar. I don't really want to do either one of those. And exit full screen, which you can use with your little buttons over there. Okay. Design. Group, ungroup, reveal groups. That's all right here. Okay, so this is one that you do have to come here because it is not available on here. Is combine all, combine selected, and fixes stitches. I will show you what fixes stitches is in a minute. Rotate 45 is on the design panel. Color sort is another one. I think there's another spot for that. Color tone and modify design again. Endless split project, those are both over here as well. So is modify. That's modify, endless, and split. Properties, you can click on that and it would show you your properties of your design. Edit design, again, that's going to be, you have an option over here. Center and hoop, move into hoop. Horizontal alignment, align left, center, right. We'll be using this. Vertical alignment, same thing. And layout order. Layout order is kind of neat, but again, it's outdated. You can do that on your film strip, and I will never use the layout order. I'm always going to use that film strip. Assistants, you can get your assistants here. They're going to be over here as well. You have your assistants. But these are the ones that we have, and we will be doing those as well. Window. Again, this is all just kind of Mac stuff where you can move your window to left, right. This is all Mac stuff. It really doesn't have anything to do with the software. Help. This is kind of cool. So if you were looking for something specific, you were like, I want to color sort. Where is that? If you type in color sort, it will actually show you where it is, which is really cool, because if you know something that you want but you can't find it, use that help. Type it in the search. It also does it with, how we did that save as. If you want save as, it'll actually pull it up, and it'll, instead of having to hit the option key, it'll actually just show it to you, and you can use it there as well. So that's a really helpful feature. I love that feature on a Mac. It does not actually have that on a PC. It is a super nice feature. Love that feature. Okay, so let's get over here to our design panel and get to where we are seeing stuff. Okay, so this is our design panel, and the first screen, we're going to skip this one and we're going to come back. Create. This is where you're going to get your assistants. So remember, our assistants were here. They're here as well. And we have all these assistants, and they are so fun. And we are going to do each and every one of them in other classes. Insert, digitizing, and open our cross stitcher. This is Encore. Encore takes a selected item and repeats it in different shapes, in different lengths, and things like that. And again, we are going to do every one of these tabs in another class. Fonts, well, letter. This is what most people get their software for. And I will say that I absolutely love the way this works. You have so many options. Not only do you have, if you click on the font, it brings up all the fonts. Not only do you have tons of pre-installed fonts, you also can use that quick font to create any font from any loaded font on your Mac. It's just amazing. I love it. And now I will be real honest with you. Some fonts don't stitch out well. Others are amazing. There are certain fonts that I have across platforms because they stitch out beautifully, and I love them. But we will do a whole bunch on lettering, and we use it all the time. But this is what your letter tab looks like, and these will also be your tabs. So these would be your letter tabs. Super Design. Oh, this is fun. So these are where you get all the built-in designs. Now, they're not technically designs. Remember I said something about that fixes stitches? Well, we're on animals, so we'll switch to all because there's so many. Except for that kiwi bird was really fun, and we were going to do that. Or maybe the alligator. The alligator's super cute. We're doing alligator. Okay, so when you want to choose one, we're going to go ahead and choose it. Color. So the style is different. You can do a line style, and it just makes it a line stitch, or color. But we like the alligator with some color. Size. You can choose the size you want. So we're 120 hoops, so let's do 110. Make him pretty big. Stitch type. So he's going to be a pattern fill and satin columns. So you could actually change these individually. So like if satin column, if you wanted it to be a pattern in it, or the density you wanted to be thicker, you can change that in here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click apply. Oh, our dinosaurs, or our alligator's huge. All right, let's delete him. Right clicking or control, which one is it? Hold on. Let's make him smaller. Oh, I did change my hoop to 100, didn't I? Oops, that was my fault. Let's do 80. I forgot that I changed my hoop again. Still too big. Why are you too big? There we go. I guess this number goes for his height, not his width. So that's needed. So if you need him a certain height, so this would be 30 millimeters high, right? Yep, because remember how I said I use my grid a lot? So my grid is 10, 20, 30. Oh, which reminds me. Hold on one second. Pause. Anyway, we're going to go back to mySewnet embroidery. Remember how we were on there? Preferences. This is the one I wanted to show you guys. Configure will open up that configure. Check for updates. You can check for services. That doesn't apply to us. Hide mySewnet, hide others, doesn't, and quit. But this is the one we want. Preferences. This is where you change your grid size. I want you guys to remember this because we will use this a lot. And notice that my grid size is 10 millimeters. So when I say 30 millimeters, I know that I need 3 grid blocks or 3 grid lines to know that that's 30 millimeters high. And then you've got your remove overlap again, and then apply clay piece margins. But we're not going to mess with that today. But if you're doing something and you want to change your grid size, you're going to click on mySewnet embroidery and choose preferences, and that lets you adjust your grid size. And I'm going to keep it at 10 right now. Okay, so there's our cute little alligator. Now, remember how on the left we were blank, but now we have a little alligator on there. So we're going to move our little alligator over here. And then we're going to put in our little fishy, and our little fish is going to be And we're going to say apply. Okay, and here's our adorable little fish, and he's going to be swimming away from the alligator. Okay, so now notice how each time I add something, it's appearing on the grid. And let's put in a bird. We'll grab the toucan. And make him smaller too. We'll make him 20. Okay, and we're going to say apply. So there's our little bird. Okay, so we have all three of our items, and remember how I said you can, so now I can click on each one individually. But what if he was on top of my alligator? Well, see how, if I didn't click in the right place, like if I, well, okay. That just did not help with my point. There's sometimes where things get stacked on top of each other and you can't quite click the one. Or maybe the bird was on top of the fish as well and you wanted the fish in the back and you couldn't get to the fish. You can just click on your film strip to select them. So that makes it easy to move. So that previous design and next design are pointless. Okay, layout order. The other one I said was pointless. The reason it's pointless is because the order right now is the alligator is going to stitch out first, then the goldfish, and then the toucan. Now, in this theory, it doesn't really matter because they're all spread out. But what if I wanted the fish to look like it was in the alligator's mouth? Right now, it doesn't look that way, does it? But if I move, so I'm clicking and dragging, and I move my fish above the alligator, my fish is going to stitch out first, then my alligator. So now it puts the fish in the alligator's mouth. Now, this is not something I'd really stitch out because it doesn't look the greatest, because you'd really want him behind the teeth. And there is a way to do that in the software, but we are not doing that today. So we could really, this software has so much, you can just, your imagination is your limit, really. If you can think it, you can do it. Okay, so that's some of the super designs, and that's some of the things that I said were pointless on those tabs and how you can use this film strip in its place. The other thing I'm going to show you is now the select. You now have your box select. So if I wanted to select the alligator, I could click on that and it puts a little box on there and that chooses it. You could also do where you just draw a line around it. And nothing got selected because the fish wasn't actually. There it goes. When doing that, you have to make sure the whole fish is selected. Don't leave a little part of them out because it won't select them if you leave a little part out. Point select just lets you put points around them. And finish. Oh, and that's a right click or, hold on, or control click. And then you can just do freehand finish and that selects the bird. Again, in this situation, it would be so much easier just to click on those. However, this plays a big important part when we start modifying our designs. Okay, so that's some of your super design. Again, we will use super design a lot, so we will get more and more into that. Oops. Frames. Frames are just that. They are frames that frame stuff, and we will do a whole thing on that. Applique, you can create applique pieces. You can add embellishments. If you have one of the machines that will use the ribbon attachment, you can create your own ribbon attachment designs. It's so fun. I did a gnome. It was cute. And modify. Okay, so once you click on modify, notice that it says this will fix your selected design as embroidery stitches. Do you wish to continue? This is very important. So I'm going to do this so just to switch it so that you can see. So I'm going to say okay. Notice my box handles are green. When I say okay, it's going to take me to this, and we will play with this later. But when I go back to my design panel, which is what we're going to discuss now, notice that the bird's box handles are no longer green. They are white. This is very important. A super design is a design that can be altered. So like if I take my fish, if I click on my fish, he's 962 stitches right now. If I increase my fish's size, he's now 3,643 stitches. It automatically changed his density and added stitches for his size. Now, the toucan, his stitches are 1,860. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make him big. Notice what happened to him. He's now not going to stitch out very nice, is he? Because his stitches did not change. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to do undo. Okay, so now he's back to normal. And we're now going to go into that one area where it says design, and we're going to choose, where's it at? Okay, you can rotate. Where is that at? Design. I know I saw it. There it is. So under Edit tab, Resize Mode. Sorry guys, I am rusty on a Mac. I'll admit it. Okay, Resize Mode. Now my handles are blue. So they went from green to white to now I want resize and they're blue. Now, normally I would resize this when it was green because it is a super design. And doing this way, you really only want to do about 20%, but watch what happens. So we're going to make him big again. And it did increase the stitches a little bit, but not what they should have. See, he has some little gapping in there. This is because I increased the size more than 20%. Like I said, increasing and decreasing an already created design, it's recommended to do only 20%. This keeps the integrity of the design. A super design, when you have these green handles, you can make this thing as big or as small as you want, and it is going to change those stitch counts. Okay? When you have blue handles, it's recommended 20%. You may get by with 25 to 30, but I would not go any bigger than that, especially not double size. And then white doesn't make a change at all. So you want to make sure that your handles are either blue or green when resizing. And again, guys, we will do this some other time in the lessons. So this is not the first time you're going to hear it. Okay, so we're going to keep him there. We're going to make our fish fit in the hoop for this purpose. Okay, so, oops, let's go back. All right, so when you click on a design, these are all individual designs at the current moment. When you do that, you get your stitch count, your width, your height, and how many colors you're going to have. It then shows you the colors that it used. So when you hover over it, it's going to tell you that this was a Rose and Anton color, 2384 J Blue. And you can do that with each one of them. Also on your design panel, you can rotate 45 degrees increments. The little circle handle right here allows you to free turn. Center and hoop puts them directly in the center hoop. Color tone. This is kind of an interesting thing, and we will do this at another time. Edit, design. It's going to open in Stitch Editor. We're going to go ahead and click finish. That'll stop it. Edit in Stitch Editor actually opens Stitch Editor, lets you make those changes, and puts it right back in your hoop. Super cool. That's also new. Endless. If I wanted to create an endless, this pops up. We will do that later. And the last one is split project. If you wanted to do a project that was 200 by 200, but your biggest hoop was only a 240 by 150, you would have to split the project into 2 hoopings. This would set up the process of doing that so that you could do it correctly. Okay, so, preview. So life view shows you what that would look like in stitch form. And design player lets you see the stitches, how they stitch out. This is really helpful when doing appliques, especially if you didn't get any directions. So sometimes you go out there and you get those free designs and you're like, wait, how's this stitching out? You can use Design Player to actually see how it stitches out so that you can get an idea on what you have to do to create that design. Kind of helpful sometimes. Okay, that was that. We did the panels, we did our, view mode. 3D takes away, this first 3D, takes away your, so this is your realistic view. It takes away your grid. Keeps it looking like stitches, but removes your grid. 3D keeps it looking real, but gives you your grid. And 2D gives you this really weird look. However, this really weird look is helpful sometimes. And the reason it's helpful is when you're digitizing or things like that, in this mode, notice that I can see to the background. I can see underneath the bird's wing is orange. So if I needed to alter that orange or move that orange or take it away, I could do so. So I use 2D view in things like Create and things like that to be able to really see something. Otherwise, I leave it on 3D. Okay, so I think that covers the majority of getting to know our software. So this is how this is going to work. Each week I'm going to post a video on YouTube on a tab or a module or something as far as for the software. So our next one is going to utilize lettering. So we're going to do quick font. We're going to show you how you can make the letters a circle or a rectangle. They're obviously a rectangle, but a circle or a half circle or some kind of shape. And what we'll do is we will go over that whole entire letter tab in depth, showing you everything you need to know about lettering in the mySewnet software. So if that's something you would like to learn, join me next week for that lesson. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day.